First and foremost, I have a very unpleasant task. I'm the only person standing between you and lunch, and we are already considerably delayed. Yeah, so what I actually intended to do in the next half an hour, probably I'll try to cut short and probably share some of the insights that I wanted to share as part of the larger presentation. First, a quick introduction about myself. My name is Jerry. I'm the head HR for ICICI Lombard. ICICI Lombard, if some of you are not aware, is the largest private sector player in the general insurance sector in India. Prior to this, I used to work for Unilever, started my career with them, spent almost 18 years of my career with Unilever, primarily in leadership positions in terms of managing operating companies, as well as heading some of the HR expertise, centers of expertise, as well as HR business partnering. There were two aspects of what I wanted to cover in this particular presentation. The first part was basically about the biggest question which generates a lot of debate and discussion, not only within HR but also the larger business community, which is about, does HR add or create value? I think so that that debate and the time that I'm going to spend on that, I think I'll cut down on that, because the very fact that I'm addressing a group of HR professionals sitting in this room is evidence of the fact that HR indeed adds value. Yeah, otherwise people wouldn't be sitting in this room. Yeah? So that itself is a testimony in terms of what is the contribution that HR makes. But I wanted to quickly touch on this particular aspect before I jump into the second part of my discussion, which is about trying to highlight which are the areas where HR can actually move from the value addition space into the value creation space. Yeah? So that's the second part, which I'll delve in far more detail. But before I jump into the second part of the discussion, very quickly and briefly in terms of my own thoughts and something which I have actually gathered from my own interaction with HR professionals across industries, my own interaction with senior leaders within the business. Most of the business leaders clearly acknowledge the role that human resources can basically contribute in delivering business results. Yeah? That logic is very simple for them. That's because people create value, and businesses don't. It's people in the businesses who create the value. Yet there's been a very interesting research which has been done by McKinsey as well as the conference board. The research states that most of the business leaders clearly acknowledge human capital and leveraging human capital as the topmost challenge that they have. However, they don't see HR in the top 5 important functions in their organization. So that's really the paradox in which we are. Yeah? On one hand, the criticality of leveraging human capital is clearly articulated by the business. However, the role of the HR professional is not seen as equally important as the other functions in the organization. And there are different reasons for it. Yeah? And I think so it finally boils down to what is the value add that HR provides in an organization. There is a huge difference in terms of how people within HR perceive the value add that they do. And that is very surprising, because a lot of HR people assume that HR value add is basically moving beyond the essential administration and transaction activities. Yeah? So they seem to basically get together everything under HR value add under the whole big umbrella of strategy. Yeah? So that's really the popular misconception that people have in terms of what constitutes HR value add. But to really answer the question of what is HR value add, we need to really go back and answer the question in the context of what the stakeholders really want from us. Yeah? Because value is always in the context of what stakeholders expect from HR and what is that we deliver to these stakeholders. Yeah? So it's always in the context of that you define value add. So if you really look at which are the big stakeholders that HR really works for in an organization, it can be briefly grouped into 3. Yeah, and I'm primarily focusing on the key important internal stakeholders. The first is obviously the business leader. Obviously, he is the head of the organization. There are certain expectations that he has in terms of value add from the HR person. And these could be ranging from larger questions about the organization and talent, which could be about saying that how do I organize myself in order to execute my strategy? How do I basically get the best talent who can actually help me in rolling out my strategy? How do I create the collective mindset culture of this place so that I get organization as well as talent to start performing and delivering and meeting some of the business objectives? So that's a whole set of value add questions and expectations that the CEO of the organization has on the HR professional or the HR function. So that's one big bucket of what is the expectation from HR.